Alright, 44 Tifers. This is Brad Howe.
What's his up, guys?
It's been 10 years since we've been on track together. We raced the R6 Cup together and had some much fun.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
fun times.
Yeah.
Fun times. Making up positions and just having a laugh.
Making up the midfield.
Yeah.
So we're here at the Ron Haslam School, and it's a bit of a special day today because Honda have bought Leon Camier, Jake Gagne. They bought a superbike. It's really bloody windy, you can tell. We've also got Chris Pike and Mick Shanley as well. So we've done a bit of a technical thing this morning. We learned about the bikes, and now we're going to take the Fireblade out for a bit of a spin. Apparently, according to Ron Haslam, it's the windiest he's ever been here in his 22 years. So, what's the crack?
We've done a few laps this morning. I've never really experienced anything like this. It's not so much the wind; it's the gusts. It's really unpredictable. Okay. So we're going to get a good run out, but you just got to be careful, especially on the power.
Well, you go steady, mate. Am I following you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, just go steady, okay?
Yeah, I'll try.
The thing I love about the Ron Haslam School is there's no curriculum, there's no set parameters. It's all about you. It's all about sort of building on your strengths and working on your weaknesses. And unlike other schools where you have that curriculum where you have to do this and have to do that, it's very much rider focused. And I'm not massively keen on using touring tyres on track, but you have to understand that these guys run in every single condition possible, whether it be hail, sunshine, torrential rain. They have to run, and they will run.
What have we got here then, my baby?
So this is basically a breakdown of your quickest lap. So it kind of logs every lap, and then the fastest lap that you set, we'll pull the data from that and have a look at it.
Oh God.
There's quite a lot of information to look at. So you've got a gear pattern, so I can see where you're messing up and where you're getting it right. Your speed in blue, RPM in red, acceleration in green, and your braking effort, your braking duration rather, in pink.
Is this to sort of halt customers, because you get a lot of people saying they did this and that, and then you go, no, hang on, mate, the data never lies.
Yeah, pretty much. I think when you're out there and you're pushing, you're kind of riding very subconsciously. So even though we've discussed maybe using a different gear, you get out and you get into your flow and you kind of mess it up. But yeah, people come in and say, oh yeah, I'm doing it. And this is just a really good tool to basically highlight what they are doing wrong and also what they're doing right as well.
Sorry, my phone's ringing now. Excuse me for that.
No
Sorry.
worries, mate.
As you were.
So yeah, a really good tool to highlight what they're doing wrong and also what they're doing right. As we can see from your graph, gear pattern's pretty good. Maybe use first for Goddards, but considering the conditions today, second were probably a better gear to use. So less wheelie on the way out with a side wind, and a lot more stable on the way in with the engine braking. Achieving a rolling lap of a 150, and I think we dipped under the 50s on your theoretical. So the
theoretical 140.
Yeah, 148.8. So the lap's split into 9 sectors. So when you tie all your quickest sectors together, you come up with your theoretical, your ideal time. So in theory, we achieved a 148 today, and again, considering the conditions, that's a pretty decent lap, is that?
Sweet. Won the championship, WorldSBK Championship 2009. I was in the back, somewhere at the back, getting in the way and getting lapped. So it's a nice little anniversary. We're sharing a track here. So how's my riding?
Yeah, good. I can't complain for sure. Everything looked good. Just it's hard with standard tyres and not in race bike trim to be really pushing on. But yeah, everything looked good. Doing everything spot on.
So onto this year on the Honda. So it looked like this year, the beginning of this year, you're thinking, oh, we're going to have a podium man, and what happened? What
I don't know the answer to that, but we've been questioning the same thing, to be honest. It's been a difficult year because we started really strong, and even I myself was thinking we should be on the podium semi-consistently, and if we can keep improving the areas we're weak, we should be on the box for sure. And then we changed electronics when we come back to Europe, and that is such a big job. Everyone, it's not plug and play. it's such a big task trying to get all the little details right. And I got injured the first race back, broke 6 ribs, lung damage, shoulder damage. Took a few races to come back, and it just seemed like everything we did, we just sort of lost the direction a little bit or something. And as we are right now, it's it's not good for sure. But the bike's potential is a lot more than where we are. We're not in the right place with the bike, and it's showing in the results. So we've got to figure it out, basically.
Mick was saying earlier you're having problems with the electronic side of things.
Yeah.
I mean, for people at home who have no idea, there's so much involved in electronics these days. Everything, even BSB, even BSB who don't run electronic aids, no TC, no anti-wheelie and that stuff.
Yeah.
So you've got all of that to contend with, plus your corner-to-corner stuff, setting the bike up and throttle and everything else. I mean, how much of a mind mess is that?
To put it nicely.
Yeah,
it's massive, and it is so complicated, you can't imagine. And that's why it's such a big job going from one electronics package to another in a season, when it takes teams. You see, like Yamaha, it took them 2 years to come good, and I think we've done better than that. I think but we're missing something. Whether it be some way the strategy's working for engine brake, or we've lost direction with something. Something isn't quite where we need it to be, and it's in the season. It's really frustrating because you're limited to testing. You can't really play around too much because you need to try and be pushing, trying to get results. It's just it's difficult for sure, and hopefully in the winter we can have some more time testing and figure everything out a little bit better and make some steps.
So, as a road bike, the standard road bike, it's lovely and flickable. And you think, when you put some nice sticky rubber on it, and you put some nice suspension on it, and you take away the standard electronics and put the race stuff on, you think, this is going to be an awesome bike. So what's the easiest bit of the bike to work with? What's the best bit of your race bike?
I think one of the strongest parts, especially when I first got on the bike, was the chassis. I had a really good feeling with the chassis straight away, and corner entry, I could enter so strong on the bike, and to be honest, this is one of the parts of the thing we've lost as opposed to the beginning of the year. So we've got to figure that part out, but that is its natural part of the chassis or of the bike that was so strong. Just you felt like the bike was so solid entering the corner, and you could make your lap time there.
Yeah.
So we've got to find that back again.
And conversely, I know I was chatting to Mick and Chris, who were telling me that because of the long stroke motor, you've got essentially that gives better punch at the bottom end. But when you turn into a race motor, you need the bigger revs, you need more revs, you need the top end to keep up the other bikes.
Yeah.
You're missing that punch out the corners?
Yes, yeah.
And that's just marginal bits, or?
It is, yeah. I mean, you need as much torque as you can. You always want as much power and torque as you can get, because it makes your life as a rider a lot easier. If you can make all your lap time on the straight compared to the others, it makes it easy, doesn't it? But we're losing for sure coming off the turn, and on a low RPM corner, we're struggling for sure. The bike doesn't pick up quite enough at really low RPM, and then punch off the turn. So, you'd never notice it on the road or only other than racing.
Yeah.
And the other thing, when you've got a lot of torque, it gives you options on gearing and stuff like that. So you can try and run a slightly longer gearing if you need be, so it makes it a little bit nicer on the overall track. So less gear shifts, stuff like that, which is it's better to race with. But when you've got to be running like short gearing all the time, just trying to get as much RPM as possible, makes it a little bit harder again to ride with.
So fresh slate, clean slate for next year. What can we expect? What do you reckon? What's the plan?
It's difficult to say. I mean, I think if we can get back to where we were beginning of the year, we can. There's still the potential to try and be near the podium again is the plan. But I think for next year, if we can get back to where we were, there's no reason why we can't be on the podium now and again for sure.
Great. Good luck, mate.
That's the plan anyway. Cheers. Thank you.
So, mate, end at day.
End at day.
How did I do?
Really well, considering conditions.
Don't sugarcoat it.
No.
Brutal, yeah.
bit of a steady start, but obviously with the conditions as they were, you've got to kind of feel yourself around. You can't go at it like a bull in a china shop. So it did well, rode conservatively, but yeah, towards the end, the last session that we were laid down, some decent times, and I dare say, had the conditions been a little bit better, we could have probably dipped into kind of a mid to low 40, which is a good time round here on the Fireblade.
Now, when Ron Haslam says it's the worst wind he's ever ridden in, I didn't think he was kidding, but that was bad, wasn't it? I mean, so even tipping into Redgate, it was like, pretty much every corner, at some point, the gusts of wind would just pick the front wheel up. It was carnage, wasn't it?
Kind of impossible to ride, really, because of its inconsistency, you know. If it had been kind of just a steady wind, you could have coped with it, but you'd go in a Redgate one lap and you'd brake and you'd get into fine, and then another lap you'd have a 20 mile an hour tailwind and it'd be pushing you in and your ABS would be kicking in, and just massively unstable.
I think the scariest part for me was tipping into Coppice, the first part of Coppice, and the moment there when the wind, you just come out the rise and it just goes woof, and the front wheel is enough, you know, we're not talking lifting it off the air, like miles off the air, but it's enough to make the bike unsettle. And especially with a big lad on the back, got some weight on the spring, she just lifts up, and you know, admittedly it took me a good 2.5 sessions to really think, okay, I'm gonna pull my finger out here.
It's like I say, when the conditions are like that, like the tiniest little wheelie and the wind gets underneath it, the bars turn, and you know, when you're doing sort of 150, 160 mile an hour down that back straight, off the little hump, you definitely don't want that. So it made it difficult. Like I said, Coppice turning into that, you're kind of going from a side gust and into a headwind and all over the place. So pretty difficult conditions to ride in.
And of course, every time I come here racing, every single time, that last sector, I mean, you've got this beautiful circuit, and then you get to the last sector, you've got the Foggy's S's and the Melbourne Loop and Goddards, and it's just shit. I'm sorry, but it is, it's horrible. It ruins the whole circuit. But of course, every time I come here, it's like a mental thing. And racing, I've always been really good in the first couple of sectors, and you get to that sector, and I'm always a second off where I should be. And again, today, it was, so I apologise for my...
No worries. I think it's the nature of the beast. You've got this circuit, and there's a bit of everything in it, but you've got, as you said, the fast flowing bits that are a lot of fun, but then the last sector, very kind of stop, start, braking, accelerating, and you know, it's physical and it's difficult to kind of gel the two together. So you know, you usually find that you'll either be stronger on there or stronger on there. So, but no, that last session, you really brought it up and made a cracking lap. So well done, mate.
Thanks, mate.
No worries, you're more than welcome.